you have your microphone on?
Ready? Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my left is Commissioner, Vice Chair Gary Edwards. To my right, Commissioner Carolina Mejia. To her right, County Manager Ramiro Chavez. And to his right, our Clerk of the Board, Amy Davis. Calling this meeting to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Edwards.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would also like to start today with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the indigenous Salish peoples who have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial and who still inhabit the area today. Specifically, the Nisquaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people are sovereign tribal partners. I would entertain a motion regarding approval of the proposed agenda for today.
I would move to approve the Tuesday, June 8th, 2021 agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia? Aye. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. I would entertain a motion regarding the May 25th board meeting minutes.
I would move to approve the board meeting minutes from May 25th, 2021.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia? Aye. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting minutes approved for May 25th, 2021. Now it's my pleasure to introduce a presentation, specifically a proclamation for LGBTQ Pride Month. And I believe we have guests.
I believe we have guests in the Zoom. I will have them introduce themselves here in a minute. Commissioners, for your consideration is for you to consider a proclamation that they will proclaim the month of June 2021 as LGBTQ Pride Month in Thurston County. Just to let you know, we're proudly flying the Pride flag here at the courthouse in celebration of this proclamation. So let me see if I can introduce members of the public who would like to be part of this proclamation. For those members of the public who are joining us via Zoom, if you would like to be part of this proclamation, please mute yourself and turn your camera on. Perhaps not. They may be running late.
Okay. Well, I'll turn to the clerk of the board. Do we have confirmations and we should scoot this down? Or is it, or should we proceed ahead?
I haven't received any correspondence other than the confirmation from last week, so.
Anybody on the phone?
Good afternoon. For those members of the public who have joined us via conference call this afternoon, if you would like to participate on the proclamation the board will be considering related to the LGBTQ Pride Month in Thurston County, please unmute yourself.
Sir?
I have a motion, if possible. I would move that we move this to next week's agenda, and I'll invite some other groups and coordinate with them.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. We'll continue this for the June 15th agenda. it's related to Pride Month, so we'll still be well within the month of June, and hopefully we can figure out what happened there. Okay, let's go to opportunity for the public to address the board. And Thurston County welcomes the testimony from the public at all of our board meetings. We will give each speaker 4 minutes in which to provide public testimony. Few guidelines is that the comments may not be lewd or inflammatory, discriminatory, hateful. Please be respectful. You cannot donate your speaker to donate any of your time to another speaker. You'll have 4 minutes. You'll introduce yourself and give roughly where you reside in the county, and then you'll have the timer up on the wall. Certain types of comments are not permitted, such as promotion of a for-profit business, certain remarks about pending land use permits that might become before the board on appeal, and the board reserves the right to restrict someone's opportunity for good cause. Ultimately, any written materials that you provide, we'd ask you to give them to the county manager, and they're subject to disclosure under the Public Records Act under state law. With that, we will start with the sign-up sheet, and then if you didn't sign up, don't worry, I'll call for any additional speakers. I'll call the top 2 so that the person on deck is ready. The first sign-up speaker is John Halverson, and on deck is David Sugarman.
I'd like to defer to Dave if I could.
Okay, very good. Mr. Sugarman.
Good afternoon. I'd like to talk about the Modman complex.
Sir, could you please introduce yourself, where you reside in the county for the record?
I certainly can. I skipped over that. My name is David Sugarman. I live at 4240 Sentinel Drive Northeast, Lacey 98516. And I am here to talk about the Modman complex purchase. The county auditor, on behalf of the voters and citizens, needs to purchase the Modman complex to provide additional space and provide continuity of the operation and process. My wife and I have had the honor and pleasure of helping to tabulate ballots for the Thurston County Auditor's Office while working at the current Modman complex address. You should be proud of the operation run by Mary Hall. I have professional experience as a methods analyst, what used to be called an efficiency expert, and I'm impressed by the efficient process that is used by Thurston County to validate, tabulate, and protect ballots and the voting process. But to support such a complex activity takes time, planning, and space. Time has been used to assess current and future needs. Data has been accumulated and presented, documenting the wisdom of purchase. Time has been spent preparing for the purchase. The time to purchase is now. Space can impact the tabulation process. The current process can be improved to meet the future needs of elections that will involve increased population. Stability of access to space makes it possible to plan and prepare for the future. Additional space available as part of the purchase is needed for new equipment. And most of all, when I worked there, while standing in line, I became fully aware of the need for more restrooms. About 70 people compete for 2 restrooms, and many of us are of an age that waiting can be painful. I urge you to act now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Halverson, and then I will call for additional speakers.
Good afternoon. My name is John Halverson. I reside at 5016 Sheridan Drive Southeast in Lacey.
My purpose today is to urge you to vote to add the auditor's requested Mottman project to the capital facilities plan and to complete the purchase by executing the already approved purchase agreement today. I'm one of a dozen citizen volunteers, or dozens of citizen volunteers, who inspect ballots for county elections. Got my badge right here. This fall will be my 7th consecutive year of doing that. The 2020 election cycle during the COVID-19 pandemic was extremely challenging for both the election staff and volunteers. The need for more space to safely conduct operations meant we all couldn't work at the same time. We inspectors had to alternate shifts and work more days to accomplish our mission, and it took much longer to get election results to the public. With population growth and increased voter participation, there is no doubt that the Elections Department needs more space to conduct elections. A second ballot sorting machine is needed, so that will require more space than we currently lease for in the building. My opinion is that it is important to get the equipment and the staff moved in prior to this fall's election cycle. There are an awful lot of city races and folks want to know what happened. I've watched the Planning Commission public hearing on June 2nd and the 119-minute commissioner meeting on June 3rd. Gosh, it was fun. I do not believe this Mottman project fits the analogy of a cart before the horse decision. I have some 20-plus years of experience with capital improvement and capital facility plans, and I know that timing is everything. I served for 6 years on the Lacey Planning Commission, then 9 years on the Lacey City Council, and later as a member of your County Parks and Recreation Committee for 7 years. I was involved in parks property acquisition and testified on multiple capital facility plans. Properties and funding sources become available unexpectedly. These opportunities cannot always be planned. The hoped-for sequence of public hearings by the Planning Committee, followed by public hearings by elected officials, all happening prior to the December budget adoption, cannot always be met. Life events interrupt the sequence, as in the case of the Mottman project. The auditor started the search for additional space before the unfortunate death of the property owner. The search proved that Mottman property was the only available option for the amount of space needed. The opportunity to have first right of purchase was unpredicted. Due diligence appraisal has been done. You've already approved payment for the earnest money and the purchase of the property. The only thing left is to add this project to the CFP. There's a reason why unelected, volunteer-appointed planning commission members, such as me at one point, should not veto or delay capital projects. Only you have the authority to add or delete projects from the capital facilities plan. I strongly urge you to act today, add the Mottman project to the CFP, and complete the purchase agreement prior to the July 2nd deadline. Please don't waste the $50,000 earnest payment over a procedural sequence. Act now. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir.
Do you have a paper copy of your testimony, sir?
All right, those are my two signups. Mr. Pettit, I would imagine, and
Yeah, we signed on the actual appointment. There was some mix-up on the sign-up.
Oh, okay.
We did sign up on that, so.
Go ahead.
Sure? Okay.
perfect, come on up.
Mine will be brief. Good afternoon. I'm Christina Janis. I reside at 8140 Ellison Loop Northwest, on the northwest side of Olympia. Today, it's not so much of a statement, but as an open invitation. Next Monday, June 14th, is Flag Day, and Thurston County Realtors always has our annual Flag Day at the Lacey Flag Pavilion. We have the fire departments there. We have our local VFW color guard present. Commissioner Majea, excuse me if I pronounce that wrong, will be our guest speaker, so we're excited to have you present. We also actually believe have former Commissioner Bud Blake as our MC. I believe our current president, Tom Schrader, has worked that out. So we will have the county commissioners representing. I'd also not only invite you to attend our Flag Day, but we would also love to have you stay, because after our ceremony completes itself, our local Gold Star Family Memorial Foundation chapter is going to have their groundbreaking ceremony. So I also think it's an equally worthwhile ceremony to stay with and hopefully support. So on behalf of Thurston County Realtors, I just wanted to invite you all, if you're able to attend. That's 4 p.m. It'll start at 4 p.m. Monday the 14th at the Lacey Flag Pavilion. So thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live out in the East Olympia area. A little earlier today, I had brought by a document and hoped that you'd all have a chance to look at it prior to this time. The reason why is because there's some things that are appropriate to do and some things that are not appropriate to do. And it's never appropriate to seek to move something forward for a capital facilities program when in fact it doesn't legally qualify under a capital facilities program. And when I give reference to that, I'm going to refer to the atrium. The atrium, this document, and once again, I can't say that you ever received it, but my first question to you as commissioners would be, is that property owned by Thurston County? The answer is no. Is it owned by a public entity? The answer is no. And by very definition, that two of the commissioners that are sitting up here in front of us made and adopted the capital facilities program update and afterward purposes. Chapter 6 identify that a definition for capital facilities. Very simple. Capital facilities definition. Facilities owned by Thurston County and other public entities necessary to support the county's current and forecasted population growth. These include but not limited to roads, bridges, sewers, parks, water supply, conveyance systems, stormwater management, and wastewater disposal, treatment, schools, fire facilities, and county buildings. You can't spend capital facilities money on something that the county does not own. Now, unfortunately, we live in an adversarial approach with what happens. So I, as a citizen, if there's action taken that's to do something that's illegal on the part of the commissioners, it's my obligation as a citizen to take action to reverse it or remove the people that are involved in moving it forward. So I'm going to suggest to you that since under your item number 5A today on your agenda is a description to set a public hearing for capital improvement program, minor amendment, that at very least you remove the consideration of the atrium from any capital improvement program. It's the law. You don't want to make a hearing for something that would be illegal to do. So you need to make that amendment. On to a couple other brief things. You know, I understand Mary Hall needs to have more space up somewhere for her machines and space. I'm not sure that when you buy 53,000 square feet for the purpose of enlarging what's currently around 11,000 square feet, you need to make that big a purchase. That parcel up there is 3 separate parcels of ground. Do you really need to buy it all? And on that particular subject, there is a question about whether or not, until you actually make, the Planning Commission made no recommendation one way or the other about the Mottman complex. They said to delay a decision on the Mottman complex until a following work session can be held. The question I ask, can the Board of County Commissioners add a capital facilities program without having obtained a consideration of the Planning Commission. As of yet, you have not received a consideration or direction from the Planning Commission. So you don't want to stub your toe on that particular question of legality too. Thank you.
That's the boardroom lineup. We'll go to the Zoom.
I'm going to call the members of the public who join us via Zoom in the order that I see on my screen. First, I see Ms. Madeline Bishop. You have 4 minutes, please.
Okay, I am Madeline Bishop, and I live at 9529 62nd Avenue, Southeast Olympia, Washington. And I sent a copy of my comments by email, so you'll have that for the record. First of all, what I'm talking about is the capital improvement minor amendment, and I want to thank the commission for their transparency of discussions. I was able to watch the 6-2 Planning Commission meeting and the 6-3 work session in order to gain information about this. My special thanks to Robin Campbell for explanation on the financial aspects at the 6-2 Planning Commission meeting. She does a great job, and I really trust everything she has to say. I'm in favor of both the purchase of the Mottman space for our election operations and the lease of office space at 3000 Pacific Avenue, known as the Atrium. The best solution for the lack of space would have been to build a new courthouse years ago. Since that did not happen, we must find alternative ways to solve the problem. The county needs to purchase some Mottman space for the $5.6 million plus brokerage fees for our election operations. Auditor Mary Hall needs a permanent location to process ballots. We must continue to make our elections as transparent as possible. The office space at 3000 Pacific, known as the Atrium, is available for a 7-year lease. The 90,000 square foot space will need $7 million in tenant improvements. The Atrium space will meet the county's need, and taxes will not need to be raised to pay for it. The AG's opinion is that using the real estate excise tax REIT 1 for tenant improvements is appropriate. We must stop kicking the can down the road and invest in our county facilities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I have Mr. Steve Seagal.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Steve Seagal. I live at 3110 Redfern Drive Northwest, Olympia. That's unincorporated Thurston County. I'm here to testify in favor of the purchase of the Mottman complex for the county auditor's office. It is critical that the county plan ahead for its space and operational needs, and perhaps nothing more critical than making sure that our elections remain free, fair, and secure. This is not something that you can do in a portable building, at the last minute. It requires years of planning. Your county auditor did a tremendous job in adjusting due to the pandemic, making sure that her office was available to the citizens of Thurston County and able to conduct our election in a way that was fair and maintain the integrity. What's critical with the auditor's office is the need to process paper for an audit trail. It is essential that there is the space and security involved that you can do with a purchase of a complex in the planning around it to make sure that you have the space and you have the security. You can't leave these things to the last minute, and you can't leave them to chance. So the speakers before me were far more eloquent when it came for the number of reasons why the purchase of the Mottman complex is essential and critical. I urge you to approve that and consummate this acquisition as part of your planning process. I also would like to comment on the leasehold improvements with respect to the atrium lease consideration. While the county doesn't own it, a leasehold interest is a property right, of course. And again, this requires planning. And I see this as really a minor cost, because at this point, we are not building any new capital facilities. So we are not spending $224 million. We are not paying the interest on the bonds necessary to acquire a new or build a new capital complex facility. But that doesn't change the need to, recognize the need that exists, because the 45-year-old facility that was built when this county was much smaller is woefully out of date. The working conditions for people that are located in the Capitol, in the court complex are pretty embarrassing. There are going to need to be some repairs, and you'll need to continue operations. So the $6 million or $7 million plus for leasehold improvements is a real bargain. And you have your AG's opinion that it is legal. Again, it is difficult to change these things overnight. It is critical for the citizens of this county and for the efficient operations of our government that you acquire the leasehold interest in the atrium properties and begin the transition of county offices to that facility while the old facility is repaired over what I'm sure will take a number of years. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir. Is anybody else joining us via Zoom who would like to provide public testimony this afternoon? Could you please raise your hand so I can introduce you? I see that perhaps Ms. Lisa Reiner would like to testify.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead. You have 4 minutes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. My name is Lisa Reiner, and I live on the west side of Olympia, Washington. My concern today is to echo what has been already said regarding the Mottman complex for Mary Hall to continue processing her ballots in that facility. As we heard today during the Thurston County Commissioner meeting, we heard a very impassioned plea from Mary Hall to secure the building so she can get ready for the 2024 election. The 2024 election will be the presidential election, and it's crucial that we have an election that we all can trust. Here in Thurston County, if for whatever reason Mary Hall is not allowed to continue using that Mottman building, it would be very difficult for her to process those ballots and to move forward with the election. So it's crucial that we go ahead and approve that Mottman building with the capital improvement program. I hope we can go forward with that. Today, during the Thurston County Commissioner meeting, there was also quite a bit of discussion regarding the atrium building on Pacific Avenue. Many of us on the line go to the Olympian newspaper to find out every day what is happening in our county. My husband and I have been trying to do that online. We have not seen much discussion, if at all, regarding this issue of the atrium building. We see a lot of issues that have not been resolved with this building. I would hope that Thurston County could have more transparency regarding this building to the general public. I remember when we had the last discussion about building the Thurston County Courthouse, a lot of us felt that there was a lack of transparency during that whole discussion. And as it was dropped, that movement to build that Thurston County Courthouse was dropped. So again, I hope that we can print something in the Olympian, we can do more outreach for public edification on this very complicated issue regarding leasing a building, spending $7 million to improve the building, and then having to pay rent of $7 million. It's just a lot of money. And many of us feel that there could have been other buildings that would meet their criteria. At this point, the public has not been informed about all these issues adequately, I believe. So I just hope that we can secure Mary Hall's election in 2024 and secure our own election in 2024 and move ahead on these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Is anybody else joining us via Zoom who would like to provide public testimony this afternoon? Ms. Alice Miller?
Good afternoon. My name is Alice Miller. I'm a resident of Thurston County up in the Capital State Forest. I want to just quickly brief my support for the Mottman and Atrium discussion points that we've had today. And that's all I want to say. I'm not awake enough to have coherent thoughts like most of our other speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else from the Zoom before I move on? Seeing none. Good afternoon for those members of the public who have joined us via conference call this afternoon. If you'd like to provide public testimony in this board meeting, please unmute yourself, state your name, where you reside in the county. You have 4 minutes. None, sir.
Okay, thank you. That concludes public comment, item 1 on today's agenda. We'll go to item 2, county manager's update.
Thank you, Commissioners. I have one update, a follow-up to a testimony that you received on a couple of occasions by Ms. Dilworth. And, she was making a reference of a property she purchased, I believe back in 2017, located at 10105 Delphi Road. Her statements provided to you that, I'm going to try to paraphrase what she has stated, that perhaps there was a change in the zoning of her property while she was unbeknownst to her. So let me address that related to the question of the zoning changes. All research indicates that the zoning of the parcel in question has been residential going back to at least 1983. It has not changed since. The scanned document provided by Ms. Dilworth appears to be a document generated by the Sigma SQL system that is used by the county assessor's office. This is related to a tax assessment, tax use cost designation, no zoning. It is presumed that the designation of commercial was assigned by the assessor's office related to the former use of the building on the property as a fire station. The next presumption will be that when the property changed hands and the use of the building was no longer a fire station, the note, and provided in the note, was moved from commercial to residential, in August 2018 was created by the assessor's office to the note, the change in use of the property. The zoning again has remained residential, and all permits, permitting codes and ordinances will continue to apply based on that zoning. Also, the information of the piece of paper that Ms. Dilworth introduced to the board clearly states the information provided by the assessors of property use, not as zoning. So I just want to circle back on that.
Thank you. Anything from the board?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go to our consent agenda. We have items A through J this afternoon. Is there a motion regarding consent items 3A through J?
Yes, I would move to approve consent items A through J.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda items 3A through 3J are unanimously approved. We go to department items. 4A is a central services item related to a contract award for Tilly Building E HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning improvements. See, I can't
think
read
Jason,
names on that screen in my.
yeah, I believe
So need help.
Jason Ash is here, from facilities, to introduce the item.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Jason Ash, Facilities Services Manager. Commissioners, today I come to you to award a contract not to exceed $91,476. This includes the base bid, sales tax, and 10% contingency for the Tilly Building E HVAC improvements. Project number 25614 to Capital Heating and Cooling of Lacey, Washington, and to authorize Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell to sign the contract and any change orders due to unforeseen conditions that do not exceed 10%. Do you have any questions on this item?
Mr. Mejia?
No questions.
Mr. Edwards?
No, sir. We've had a lot of discussion on this. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I do not have any questions either. I would entertain a motion.
I would move to award a contract not to exceed $91,476, which includes base bid, Washington State sales tax, and up to 10% contingency for the Tilly Building E HVAC improvements. Project number 25614 to Capital Heating and Cooling Incorporated of Lacey, Washington, and to authorize the Assistant County Manager to sign the contract and any change orders due to unforeseen conditions only, not changes in scope, that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Sure.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Let's go to item 5A, Community Planning and Economic Development. Proposal to set a public hearing for capital improvement program minor amendment for June 22nd, 2021.
I believe Jennifer Davis is going to introduce that item. Jennifer.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Davis, Community Planning Manager. So this item is to consider setting a public hearing for this county-initiated proposed amendment to the Thurston County 2021-2026 Capital Improvement Program, or CIP. Sometimes we call it the CFP. The CIP is Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan, so it is part of the required capital facilities element of the comp plan. The CIP fulfills the requirements of the Growth Management Act for adoption of a 6-year financing program that will finance capital facilities within projected funding capacities and clearly identify the sources of public monies for such purposes. The Washington Administrative Code states that counties may identify improvements desired to meet community needs, including administrative offices within the CIP. The CIP is a planning document, not a budget. The capital facilities element can be amended concurrently with the adoption or amendment of a county budget, which is why setting a hearing for this amendment is before you today, because the county is currently going through that budget amendment process. This is described as a minor amendment because it involves only 2 capital facilities. The CIP goes through a major amendment and update annually for all county capital facilities in the fall. This amendment proposes to add 2 project descriptions and update financial planning tables in the CIP for 2 new capital facilities, as we've heard about today, purchasing property known as the Mottman Complex and leasing property 3000 Pacific Avenue, also known as the Atrium, along with doing necessary property improvements in order to accommodate county administrative offices. So the need for this additional space to accommodate county administrative offices is described in and anticipated in Chapter 6 of the Comprehensive Plan. And that was last updated in 2020. And this has all been the subject of ongoing Board of County Commissioner deliberations for several months. This amendment proposal has to date followed all required procedural steps of any comprehensive plan amendment proposal under the Growth Management Act and Thurston County Code. A SEPA determination of non-significance was issued for this amendment on May 18th. Just one comment was received on the DNS during the SEPA comment period with no concerns. The Planning Commission had a briefing on this amendment proposal on May 5th, 2021. The Planning Commission then held a public hearing on June 2nd, 2021. No written comment was received. 3 people did testify against the amendment proposal, and the Planning Commission sent a recommendation to the board with a 6-1 vote against moving forward with the amendment, specifically not to recommend adding the 3000 Pacific project to the CIP and to delay action on the Mottman Complex proposal. The board held a work session on June 3rd to discuss the amendment and held a follow-up discussion this morning. So the purpose of setting this public hearing is to maintain this open and transparent legislative process and to align potential action on this item with the budget amendment schedule. We're requesting a waiver of the 20-day public hearing notice requirement, which can be used when necessary to allow action to be taken in a timely manner. And this is provided for in Thurston County Code 2.05030. And waivers of this kind are permitted and useful when there is a time sensitivity around a project. We will still meet the minimum 10-day public hearing notice requirement. And that notice, if the board chooses to set the public hearing today, will be published in the Olympian at least 10 days advance of the hearing and posted to the county's website. And that concludes my remarks.
Questions from the board for Jennifer on the facts that she just laid out?
No questions at this time.
No, I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. Then with that, is there a motion?
I would like to address a point of order on this particular topic, sir.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to remove the atrium project from this motion.
Okay. It's been a motion. Is there a second? Hearing none.
Okay.
Is there a motion, an alternative motion?
Yes, I would move to waive the 20-day hearing notice requirement per Thurston County Code 2.05.030 and to set a public hearing for June 22nd, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, to accept public comment on the proposed minor amendment to the 2021-2026 Capital Improvement Program, Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan.
I'll second that. So that motion has been moved and seconded. Further discussion? Commissioner Mejia?
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
Okay. I would like to comment that with respect to a couple of the comments, well, with respect to Mottman, I think the case is very clear. I feel that if the Planning Commission had had the information that the board had had and that the auditor provided, I believe they would have reached a different decision, but maybe I'm wrong. With regard to the atrium, the board has received a legal advice on the ability to make the capital expenditure on the leased property. It was based on an Attorney General's opinion, and I will circle back to, I think there was a slight wrinkle added today that I'll make sure that I answer for myself, at least prior to the public hearing. The citizen that talked about transparency, she specifically referenced the Olympian. There was a recent Olympian article laying this out, and we've had, and all of our meetings have been recorded and preserved on YouTube, and there have been at least a dozen over the last months about this possibility and what the ins and outs are. So the final point I wanted to make is that the public hearing, today we're setting a public hearing to potentially amend the capital improvement program. Even if we just, so we're not amending the capital improvement program. Even if we do that, it does not commit us to make the expenditures. I can tell you that I have not, I'm on the record, I have not made a final decision about the atrium project. There's a few financial aspects of it that I'm still need information before I can make a final decision. But it is a viable option to address a lot of our needs, and it's something that this intermediate step to give us the opportunity to do this, if we are able to answer those questions to our satisfaction, isn't a reasonable one, in my opinion. We are not committing today, nor will we be committing at the time of the public hearing necessarily, and the amendment to the capital improvement plan to make that expenditure. Again, we have questions that are unanswered, which is why the board delayed the letter of intent, signing the letter of intent just a few weeks back. So we're still working on this, but this is part of the process. And I think another one of the citizens talked about how things come up at different times and different parts of the process. You've got budget, you've got planning commission, you've got capital improvement plan, you've got the need to enter into a contractual relations with a potential property owner, and you do the best you can to make the process transparent and line up. I believe that's what the board is trying to do here. And with that, I will call for the vote, unless there's a response. Yeah.
I would like to make a response.
Absolutely.
Sir. There's been several comments in the last few days about a legal opinion that this is okay. I would just like to point out that that legal opinion was about 35 years ago, and I don't think it's applicable to what we're doing today. And I do feel we're out of sequence, and I do feel Mary Hall needs some assistance. Anyway, shy of that, recognizing this is a democratic process, I really think that we are getting ahead of ourselves on this for a number of reasons, but there's no point. We've had plenty of discussion on this at the board, so thank you, sir.
You bet. So the motion is to waive the 20-day hearing notice, set a public hearing for June 22nd, at which time we very well will likely hear more input from the public. It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries 2-1. We'll see everyone back on that issue on the 22nd. Item 5B is Community Planning and Economic Development, proposal to set a public hearing for an extension ordinance for economic security and relief.
Brett Burris, for Building and Planning Manager, will introduce the item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Brett Burris, the Building and Planning Manager with Community Planning and Economic Development. Today before you is a request to set a public hearing for the emergency ordinance to extend expirations of approvals that have previously been through the planning and building process. A bit of history, March 12th, 2020, the emergency ordinance came before you to extend expirations of approval to September 30, 2020. Further, on November 17th of year 2020, the Board of County Commissioners extended it again further into March 31st of 2021. This is an attempt to serve citizens to request a public hearing to extend the emergency ordinances for expirations of approval to September 30, 2021, which is 1 year since the original expiration of approval. This service to citizens is also in alignment with Environmental Health Extension Ordinance. And if it's determined to set a public hearing, please note that public notice will be issued on or before June 18th for a June 29 hearing.
Questions for Brett?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
Yes, I would like to move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, June 29th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, to accept public comment on the proposed ordinance extending Ordinance 15942 to extend the permit deadline of building and land use applications received by Community Planning and Economic Development to September 30th, 2021.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously to extend those building and land use applications. Item 6, Emergency Services Interlocal Cooperative Agreement for the Thurston County Disaster Recovery Council.
That's right.
Kurt Harden, our Emergency Services Director, is with us, I believe. There he is, upper left.
Yeah, Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Harden, Director of Emergency Services. I'm here requesting approval of an interlocal cooperative agreement with the town of Bucota and the cities of Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, and Yelm for the establishment of the Thurston County Disaster Recovery Council. In February 2019, Thurston County communities participated in a 4-day integrated emergency management course. Over 80 federal, state, tribal, local government, and private nonprofit organization representatives and stakeholders performed a disaster recovery exercise for a magnitude 9.0 Cascadia subduction zone earthquake scenario. The training simulated a multi-jurisdictional approach for recovery activation, organization, planning, and operations of an extended recovery period. The policymakers who participated in the IEMC recognized the importance of the benefits of regional disaster recovery planning. Local leaders directed the Thurston County Emergency Management Council to continue pre-disaster recovery planning activities. The Thurston County Emergency Management Council drafted an interlocal cooperative agreement for the establishment of a disaster recovery council. The draft interlocal cooperative agreement was presented at the December 2019 Executive Disaster Recovery Seminar and circulated among the region's boards, councils, and commissions for review. The draft interlocal cooperative agreement describes how the Disaster Recovery Council will commence its existence when a minimum of 6 parties approve the interlocal cooperative agreement through their respective governing bodies. At least 6 jurisdictions are expected to approve the interlocal cooperative agreement. The role of the Disaster Recovery Council is to build a strategy to formalize the creation of the Recovery Task Force and Recovery Manager's Office. Subject to your questions, I'm requesting the Board of County Commissioners approve the interlocal cooperative agreement.
Questions for Kurt?
No questions.
No, sir.
Me neither. Is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve the interlocal cooperative agreement with the town of Bucota and the cities of Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, and Yelm for the Thurston County Disaster Recovery Council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Kurt. We'll move to item 7A, Public Health and Social Services, a sole source purchase of Gelata Case Management System.
Mary Noguera from Public Health Social Services Department is here to present the item.
Okay, go ahead, Marianne.
Thank you. I'm Marianne O'Garrow, the Senior Epidemiologist with Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. I work within the Opioid Response Program, and thank you for your time today. I'm here to request approval to purchase the Gelata Case Management and Data Collection Software System for use with the Thurston County Lead Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program, and requesting that you authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign this agreement. For background, the Thurston County Lead Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program is a pilot program that Thurston County has been working with along with many partners in our community. That is a public health approach to harm reduction that is working collaboratively with law enforcement and the Thurston County Prosecuting Attorney's Office to identify individuals within the community that are coming into frequent contact with law enforcement due to unmet behavioral health issues. And this particular software program is actually something that one of our grants that is helping to fund this pilot program, funded through the Washington State Healthcare Authority. It's a required system in order to fund this program, and therefore we are coming today to ask for your approval to purchase the system to use with our service providers that will be supporting implementation of that program. And with that, I will stop.
Okay, questions for Marianne?
No, sir.
Okay, well, we've gone through this. This has been a long road to get where we are. So thank you, Marianne. And is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to approve the sole source purchase of the Julietta Case Management and Data Collection Software System through a software as a service license agreement for a maximum amount of $52,000 through September 30th, 2021.
Sir, is that 52,200?
200.
$52,200 through September 30th, 2021 for the Thurston County Lead Law Enforcement Assisted diversion program, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not change the value or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I would just add that this is a program that has started in Washington, but it has been applied across the nation, and the value of having this type of a sort of mandated case management data collection software system is to basically be able to really test what you're doing against how it's working in other places and identify red flags. Why isn't it working? And you can really fine tune the program. So it's a good tool and a good approach. With that, we'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. That's 7A. Let's go to 7B, a related item, contract with Olympic Health and Recovery Services, and this also relates to our LEAD program. Mary Ann, stay right with you.
The next item is to request consideration of approving a contract with Olympic Health and Recovery Services to provide case management services to the Thurston County LEAD program, and to authorize the Director of Public Health to sign a contract for those services. And the background for that is that the Board of County Commissioners heard a request in April that we issue a request for proposals to provide both case management services and program management services to operate and implement the pilot LEAD program in Thurston County that occurred, and that RFP closed in May. And as a result of that, we had panels review both the case management services and program management services proposals that came in. The panels consisted of individuals with expertise in behavioral health, law enforcement, criminal justice, and public health. And based on criteria included in the RFP, the top scoring organization in case management services was Olympic Health and Recovery Services. The steering committee that supports the startup, that has been supporting the startup of the LEAD program in Thurston County, reviewed the panel's findings and completely concurred with that. And therefore, the recommendation coming to you today is that the panel scoring go forward, and that you consider allowing us to contract with them for the services, for case management services for the LEAD program, which case management services are those direct services that the model calls for be provided to the individuals who participate in the LEAD program. With that, I'll stop.
Questions for Mary Ann on the case management contract?
No, sir.
Just a long time coming.
Yep.
No question.
Okay, very good. I'm ready for motion.
I would move to approve the contract with the Olympic Health and Recovery Services for a maximum amount of $187,110 to provide case management services to the Thurston County LEAD program through December 31st, 2021, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract and any amendments that do not change the value or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries 3-0. Let's go to item 7C. Contract with Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization. Again, this relates to LEAD, and Mary Ann, if you could just sort of outline the distinction with this contract versus item 7B.
The request for proposals process called for proposals to provide program management services. And program management services are different in that they're the big picture overall operation of the program. They include providing community education, community engagement, overall program implementation, looking at how to seek and sustain funding for the program. So they are not the direct case management, direct to participant services. They are those bigger picture services that are provided overall for the program and operation of LEAD, ensuring that LEAD is operated to fidelity, working with the technical assistance provider to make sure that that occurs. And when those proposals came in, And the top scoring proposal, Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization, was the top scoring organization. And so the same process, exact process that I described before, was used with the same type of panel was used, steering committee review, also in complete consensus. And therefore, that is what our recommendation is for you to consider, that we contract with them to provide those services to the LEAD program.
No questions.
No, sir.
Marianne, did we make this up, the sort of the two levels and the number of FTEs that are involved, or is this coming from the grant, or can you describe that?
It is a requirement both of the grant and the way the program is outlined and operated. So it is part of the array of how you design the program.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the contract with the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization for a maximum amount of $75,075 and provide program management services to the Thurston County LEAD program through December 31st, 2021, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract and any amendments that do not change the value or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Marianne. Okay, the next, as those first three items under 7 related to a project, the next 3 items relate to a project. Tom Webster is here from the Public Health and Social Services. And these 3 items relate to the Scattered Site Pilot Project. We'll start with 7D, which is the interlocal agreement with the City of Olympia for the Scattered Site Pilot Project. And Tom, I guess similar to the last item, if you could sort of explain kind of the 3 pieces of this. You can go one at a time, but just with a mind to that there's 3 different pieces, and the public will kind of want to know what those different pieces mean.
Yes.
So starting with 7D.
Great. Thank you, Commissioners. Tom Webster, Manager of the Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention with Public Health and Social Services. So working under the Regional Housing Council, our office has been working with City of Olympia staff to develop a pilot project to provide site management, site governance, and case management services to at least 3 sites of people who are living unsheltered in the City of Olympia. So the proposed sites include 1 site where people are living in vehicles and 2 sites that are unsanctioned encampments. So this pilot project, which is designed to last for 1 year, is divided into 2 components. So one is the site management component, dealing with the waste, hygiene, and related services to manage the site. And the second component is the site governance and case management component, which will provide services to those individuals living in those spaces. So this first item for you today relates to the site management piece, and it's to set an interlocal agreement with the City of Olympia, who will contract for the garbage, hygiene, and other related services to manage the sites. So this interlocal agreement sets the framework for our relationship with Olympia. Then the next item will be to kind of contract specifically with the City of Olympia for those services. So this is asking for you to approve an interlocal agreement with the City of Olympia for up to $240,000 to provide that financial support for the garbage, hygiene, and related services for those 3 scattered site projects. And happy to answer any questions about this or the scattered site pilot project approach that we're trying here.
Commissioner Mejia.
No questions.
I do have a question, sir. We're going to be dealing with 3 issues, D, E, and F.
Mm-hmm.
And I see there's an end date for E and F and no end date for D. And I just wonder if there's a reason for that, if it was left out. I just don't recall discussing that.
Yeah, That's probably an omission from the AS. There is an end date in the interlocal agreement of June 30th of 2022. So it's designed to be a 1-year interlocal agreement to coincide with a 1-year contract.
So under D, there is an expiration date?
Yes, there is.
Should I just read that into the motion, County Manager?
Sure.
And then as a follow-up to that, E and F, E says the 20th and F says the 30th.
Yeah,
I assume that's a typo.
Too, yeah.
My apologies, yes.
So it's
It should be
30th
the
across the
30th.
board.
So it's 30th all the way through?
That is correct.
Okay, before we get to the motion, did you have another question?
No, sir, I think that's it.
Tom, I don't think you covered, we've covered it in the past. I don't think you covered it this morning or just now, but could you tick on the funding sources for this pilot project?
Yes, there are a variety of funding sources that we're using to support this pilot project. The primary fund source will be our local 2163 document recording fee. So these are fees we collect when people record a document from purchasing a home or refinancing a home. So this includes both 2019 and 2020 document recording fees. We are also using some of our COVID-related money. So we received funding under Community Development Block Grant COVID. And so this will help kind of keep people safe and address the vulnerable population, as well as Emergency Solutions Grant COVID money that comes to us through the Department of Commerce. So these are grant funds. These are all funds that are designed specifically to address homelessness and to get people into affordable housing. So these are not, these are all grant sources or document recording fees that are dedicated to homeless services that are being used to support this pilot project.
And just to tie that up, isn't it true that you referenced 2019 funds? Those were funds that the board had earmarked for the safe parking program that we weren't able to bring to fruition.
Correct. The initial thinking was we were trying to do a safe parking program with those funds. We cannot identify a permanent location that was cost effective or feasible. And so we developed this pilot, this scattered site approach as since we weren't able to move forward with the safe parking program.
And you say we, but this came also as a recommendation from the Regional Housing Council, is that correct?
Correct. Yes, under the Regional Housing Council, and there's a specific request from the City of Olympia to help them with some of the encampments and folks living in vehicles.
If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was Thurston County's representative working with Olympia's, and then and yourself as well, putting that together, and then taking the concept, and then the Regional Housing Council vetted it and recommended it back to the board. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I get a follow-up when you're done?
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead.
This just brings up one more point, Tom. If $240,000 is not expended on this project, for an example, on D, because you mentioned that we did not expend money from an earlier project for one reason or another, then would we roll that money into a similar program? What would be the outcome of that?
So a couple of things. First is this is capped at $240,000, and there's a limit of $80,000 per site. So any cost overruns, the City of Olympia would be responsible for any costs for site management costs beyond this amount. If we do not spend the full amount of the contract, then those funds would be returned to the county. For the 2163, we have our fund balance, and so we could utilize those funds for another project down the road. It would we put out an RFP every year, so there's no predetermined amount of how unused funds would be spent, but they would be included in our fund balance going forward and available for future projects.
You made reference to 2163, I think. Could you explain that for the public?
Yeah, 2163 is a document recording fee. So anytime a document, someone records a document with the assessor's office, there's a fee associated with that, specifically around liens for purchasing a house or refinancing a house are the two most common examples. We collect a fee from that is used for homeless services. That is the primary funder for a lot of the things we fund in our office for homeless services.
Thank you.
Anything?
No, sir.
Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to approve the interlocal agreement with the City of Olympia for up to $240,000 with a end date of June 30th, 2021. 2022, sorry about that, to provide financial support for garbage hygiene and related site services for the scattered site pilot project.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Anything further?
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. That's 7D. Now we have the related 7E. Anything to point out here, Tom?
No, this is the actual contract that we would issue with Olympia. Because we have different fund sources, the contract includes those specific requirements that are specific to the types of funds that we're providing. And so that's why we do the interlocal agreement to provide the framework to allow us, because this is a transfer of funds between governments, we do the interlocal agreement, and this contract lays out the specifics of the scope of work and the use of those funds. But it's the $240,000, it's not additional money. This is the same $240,000 that was in the interlocal agreement. So just that clarification, it's not additional money that is going to the City of Olympia.
Questions for Tom on 7E?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
I would move to approve contracts with the City of Olympia for site management services at 3 locations in Olympia for a maximum amount of $240,000 with an end date of June 30th, 2022.
Second.
I just almost got it.
Not yet.
The big pause caught me.
I took a breath. Sorry, Commissioner. And I'll go back to that. And authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to execute the contracts and any amendments that do not exceed the value or duration by more than 10%.
Trigger happy today. Second.
All right, moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. We have 7E approved. 7F, contract with Angels for scattered site case management. Go ahead, Tom.
So this is, as we talked about, there's the 2 components of the pilot project. One was the site management, and that's kind of will be handled by the City of Olympia through that contract you just approved. The second component is the site governance and case management. And so we put out an RFP in April requesting proposals from providers to do this case management component. We received 1 proposal from an organization known as Angels for Angels. They're really the fiscal sponsor for the agency Olympia Mutual Aid Partners that will be the actual implementer of this contract. They submitted the proposal on their behalf. And so they will provide the case management. They will be working with the clients, provide case management, provide housing services, help folks. The object is get people into permanent housing. And so these case managers will be working with the residents of these camps on a regular basis, frequent basis, helping to establish rules of behavior at the encampments, a self-governance model to help folks manage behaviors and expectations of residents, and also working with them to access services and to access housing. So this is the case management component of the pilot project that will be done by the Olympia Mutual Aid Partners, or OLIMAP, to carry out this work under the auspices of Angels for Angels, which is their fiscal sponsor.
Commissioner Mejia?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir. No questions.
Tom, with regard to OLIMAP, have they engaged in this kind of case management work before? I don't know their full range of stuff they do.
They have been doing a lot of this work on a volunteer basis so far. So they have been working in the camps. They're a fairly new organization. And so this is their first kind of contract with the county, but they've been doing a lot of this work on their own, kind of as volunteers. So they've brought on some professional staff professional case managers to assist them. So they've been doing a lot of this work. They have relationships with folks in these encampments. So there's a good baseline there, but it is a new kind of formal relationship to have do this as a contract, as paid work.
Okay, sounds like they brought on some new staffing, you said?
Yes, they did.
Okay, very good. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve contracts with Angels for Angels for $691,514 to provide case management and site governance services through June 30th, 2022 as part of Thurston County's Scattered Site Pilot Project, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract and any amendments that do not change the value or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Anything further?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. And now we're at our last item under public health, which is to set a public hearing for program year 2021 HUD Annual Action Plan. Jacinda Stelchis?
Yeah, she's going to be presenting that in this afternoon.
Perfect. Go ahead, Jacinda.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jacinda Stelchis with the Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention. And yes, I am here today to request that you guys set a public hearing for our annual action plan. Within our annual action plan, just a reminder, this is the plan that we submit to HUD annually that lays out how we will use our home investment partnership funding, as well as our community development block grant, CDBG funding. And that request is to set the public hearing for the 13th, July 13th. Our office will publish a ad in the Olympian on the 11th, beginning our 30+ day public comment period. And then that period would wrap up on the 13th after the public hearing, at which point we would then consider any public comments that have been received and then send in our plan to HUD to begin our program year for those grant funding, for those grant funds that would begin September 1st of 2021, and the program year would end August 31st of 2022.
Questions for Jacinda?
No questions.
No questions, sir.
This may be for Ramiro, County Manager, but I didn't think to ask this morning. Does this action plan, and I know that HUDs are off like by 6 months or something based on the fiscal year or whatever. Sometimes it seems like you're acting in the past, but does this action plan involve overlap with the decision about CDBG and
Yes, they are related.
They're related. So in order to, before we take action on this following the public hearing, we'll need to have decided or collaborated with our municipal partners on that.
Yeah, and I believe the items that you're referring to are for your consideration next week.
Next week, okay. Okay, well, there's a connection. That's what I was asking. Okay, very good. Nothing further. Is there a motion?
I would move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, July 13th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, to accept public comment and review the program year 2021 U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, annual action plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Set the public hearing. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Jacinda.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, item 8A is Public Works, proposed contract for 2021 overlay project, CP 98221, and for Reiner Road overlay project, CP 98410. We have Steve Bricker, Construction Engineering and Support Manager from Public Works. County Manager, do you want to set us up?
I will just give the floor to Steve. I think he can verbalize much better than I can.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Steve Bricker, Construction Manager for Public Works. On May 20th, 2021, 5 bids were received for the 2021 overlay project, capital project number 98221, and the Reiner Road overlay project, capital project number 98410. The bids were received in response to a call for bids that was advertised in the Olympian and the Daily Journal of Commerce. The low bid was received from Lakeside Industries of Lacey, Washington, in the amount of $4,396,219.00. This project will extend the pavement life of 20 miles of road for up to 20 years for the following roads: Vale Road Southeast, Vale Cutoff Southeast, Vale Loop Southeast, Churchill Road Southeast, Prather Road Southwest, and Michigan Hill Road Southwest. The cost for this project will be paid from the County Road Fund and the Real Estate Excise Tax REIT 2 fund sources. For the Reiner Road Overlay Project, the county will be reimbursed by the City of Reiner per the executed request for services under the 2020 Master Interlocal Agreement. This project is in the 2021 Public Works budget, the Capital Improvement Plan, and the Transportation Improvement Program, and is in alignment with the county's Strategic Plan Initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community. Do you have any questions?
Commissioner Mejia?
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
Did I hear you say something in there, Steve, about crab funds?
Nope, county road fund, so
Okay.
not, yeah.
And I believe, Steve, we have a real estate excise tax to funding as well on this.
That's correct, yeah.
Is that next week's project that we're going to be looking at?
Yes.
The crab, yeah. Okay. Okay, very good. Is there a motion?
I would move to award the contract for the 2021 overlay project, capital project number 98221, and for Rainier Road overlay project, capital project number 98410, to Lakeside Industries of Lacey, Washington, for a total amount of $4,396,219, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and any change orders for this project due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope, up to 10% of the contract. $439,621.90, or an aggregate of $4,835,840.90.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. That is 8A. We'll go to 8B. Contract award for the Vale Road Southeast Improvements Phase 2 project. Marcus Stovic is with us. Stovic, Associate Civil Engineer with Public Works.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mark Storvik, Civil Engineer with Thurston County Public Works. On May 6, 2021, a total of 7 bids were received to construct the Vale Road Southeast Improvements Phase 2, 138th Avenue Southeast to 153rd Avenue Southeast project, number 61450. The low responsive bid was received from Active Construction Incorporated of Puyallup with a bid of $1,960,960.00. The project is funded with a $1.8 million grant from the County Road Administration Board, or CRAB, a Rural Arterial Program, and the remaining funds will come from the County Road Fund. Vale Road Southeast is an arterial road that provides access for over 2,600 vehicles per day from parts of Southeast Thurston County to State Route 507 and the City of Yelm. This project includes reconstructing and widening travel lanes to a width of 11 feet, adding 5-foot paved shoulders, making clear zone safety improvements, and upgrading the stormwater treatment in the area. This project is in the 2021 Public Works budget, the 2021 to 2026 Capital Improvement Plan, and Transportation Improvement Program, and is in alignment with the county's Strategic Plan Initiative 2 to provide to improve community health, wellness, and safety, and Initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community. Are there any questions?
Questions for?
No, sir.
I do have just a quick question, and may have covered it this morning or when we've talked about this before, and I missed it. Did we get some money in from like salmon recovery or clean water or something for the settling ponds that we're putting in?
As far as my knowledge is, I'm not aware of that for this project. No, not for this. This is only crab money and then county road fund.
I see Teresa jumped in there. Is there a reason for that?
I just wanted to confirm what Marcus said. None of that money is in this project.
Okay. Just wanted to ask that question. Thank you. No other questions, sir.
Okay, is there a motion?
I would move to award the contract for the Vale Road Southeast Improvement Phase 2, 138th Avenue Southeast to 153rd Avenue Southeast to Active Construction Incorporated of Puyallup, Washington, in the amount of $1,960,960, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and any change orders for this project due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope, up to 10% of the contract, $196,096, or an aggregate of $2,157,056.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. That's 8B. 8C is a proposal to set a public hearing for proposed transportation impact fees rate schedule. Matt Unzelman, Traffic Engineering and Operations Manager, is here, and the proposal would be for a hearing on July 13th. Go ahead, Matt.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Matt Unzelman, Thurston County Traffic Engineer. Public Works is requesting to schedule a public hearing on July 13th to provide opportunity for the public to comment on a proposed update to the Transportation Impact Fee Program. The county has been collecting impact fees on new developments since 2013. And these fees are used to pay for capital improvement to add capacity to continue accommodating development in the county. If the capacity improvements don't keep up with development, then we won't meet the requirements of the Growth Management Act and will be forced into a development moratorium. Periodic reviews are necessary to make sure that the impact fees are appropriate. Public Works is updating the 2012 Transportation Impact Fee Study with a new project list that will be reflective of completed, new, and removed projects. It will also include the latest traffic data and also the current growth projections throughout the county. New impact fee rates are proposed in the study and will require Board of County Commissioner approval. The last thing I'd like to do is, this is a very technical, and we've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 meetings about this issue. I would encourage the public to look at the county's past briefings if they would like any more information. And they can always reach out to me if they'd like to know the dates of those briefings as well.
Thanks, Matt. Questions, Commissioner Mejia?
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
No, sir.
I had a couple. Matt, if the board updated the project list or the kind of proposal that will be up for public hearing and adopted the 50% of defensible maximum, my recollection is that certain categories would go up and certain categories would go down.
That is correct, Commissioner. However, I would say they do not go up or down significantly.
Right, right. But I just want to make that point. And then the 2 other elements, there's 2 other elements about a proposal for a further reduction for ADUs and even a further reduction for low-income housing projects. And Thurston County currently doesn't have those reductions for those 2 categories, correct?
That's correct. In fact, there's not even a rate currently established for accessory dwelling units or ADUs, or there's no provisions for low-income housing as well.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd move to set a public hearing for July 13th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, to accept public comment regarding the proposed transportation impact fee rates schedule as listed in the 2021 Transportation Impact Fee Program Update Rate Study.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Commissioner,
Discussion?
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. Motion passes. We'll have a July 13th, 2021 public hearing. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay. Winding down here, guys. Long agenda today. Item 9A is the Sheriff's Office, proposed contract extension with North Thurston School District. Under Sheriff Brady is here to present the item.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for having me. The item before the board today is a one-year contract extension with the North Thurston School District for a full-time school resource officer or deputy. We have previously had a school resource deputy in the North Thurston School District for the previous 3 years. That contract is expiring here shortly at the end of this school year. This one-year contract extension was brought forth to us by the school district. It will be for the 2021-2022 school year beginning in September. And it is specifically for the Nisqually Middle School and then 7 additional elementary schools. We work closely with the North Thurston School District with their management team to make sure that this program is functioning properly and that we're doing everything that we can to provide for the safety of our children. So that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, sir. Questions for the Undersheriff?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I don't either. Thank you. Is there a motion?
Yes, I move to approve the contract extension with North Thurston School District for $95,000 for the Thurston County Sheriff's Office to provide a full-time school resource officer in the North Thurston School District at Nisqually Middle School and the 7 elementary schools in the district during the 21-22 school year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I would just share that since this item has been of interest to the community in the past, there was a 2019 law from the state that wanted to look at SROs and how they're implemented. So they're asking school districts to collect data. And COVID kind of interrupted some of that data collection effort. And I just checked in with the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction to confirm that they will have their initial kind of data on this at the end of next school year. So we can look at that when we see that. But I know from talking to superintendents, they're very supportive of having, at least the ones that have contracted with the Sheriff's Office, they're very appreciative of the service they get from the Sheriff. So with that, where are we? We have a motion?
Motion in a second.
It's already been seconded? That's right, okay. So with that, we can call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye, motion carries. All right, thank you, Undersheriff.
Thank you, commissioners.
We're down to our last substantive item, which is Superior Court, amendment to drug court treatment services contract with Pierce County Alliance. And we have Sabrina Craig from the drug court program, our program manager, this is a very narrow item. I'll let her explain the details. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Good afternoon, commissioners. I am simply, we are requesting an extension on the date of this contract so that we can complete our RFP for treatment services provider. We anticipate having that done by the end of July and ready to contract by August 1.
So what were those dates again, Sabrina? And I'll put them in the motion, I guess.
Yeah, the current contract expires on June 30th, 2021, and the motion is to extend for 1 month.
Yes, sir.
31st.
July 31st.
And we've asked you multiple times if that's enough time for you, and you said that.
You seem to think you can get it.
Okay.
We are hoping that we are going to launch next week sometime, so yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's take it right down to the wire.
All right.
I'm hoping that I'm not back in front of you again.
That's what we're hoping.
We're hoping that.
Oh, you will.
I would like to move to approve a 1-month contract amendment to the drug court treatment services contract for June 30th, 2021 to July 31st, 2021, 1 month, with Pierce County Alliance, and authorize the Superior Court Administrator to sign the amendment and any future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Anything further?
No, sir.
No, sir. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. 11 is the county manager section, starting with commissioner reports on board work sessions, assigned committee meetings, community events, or any updates they want to provide. Commissioner Mejia.
I was out last week, but I have plenty of board work sessions this week, so I'll probably have something to report next week.
All right. Commissioner Edwards.
I think I am, other than regular committee activities, I really think the only thing I want to comment on today is the TRPC meeting, Thurston Regional Planning Council meeting that took place on, I think it was June 4th, Friday. And what was of particular interest in that activity was a report by the Global Workplace Analytics Group. I think the CEO is Katie Lister. Anyway, the business case for remote work is what this was all about. And the tendency of where people are going to work, mainly work from home, if they have the type of job that allows them to work from home versus go in and work at the job site. And I think that is a very important piece of information to be considering when we talk about any of our expansion projects that we may be dealing with. The interesting part of this, there's my seatmates have gotten a copy of this, and it is available to the public if you were to contact myself or the Thurston Regional Planning Council. But about 70% of folks that can work from home are talking about working from home. That's a lot more than I thought it would be. So anyway, just worth mentioning. See Commissioner Mejia.
Yeah, I have some questions because we had the same presentation at the Transportation Policy Board, and we received some comments that I hadn't thought about, and it was in regards to access, especially with older generations. We had a lot of members who are older there comment that they prefer to go into an office than rather the telework just because of the accessibility issue. So I was wondering what were the comments at the TRPC?
By the members of the TRCP?
Yeah.
Just that they thought it was a very thoughtful presentation and would be very beneficial to analyze that presentation as time goes on, because they're all about planning ahead for the future. So old people, they probably don't blend in quite as good with the teleworking as the younger people do, just because. But boy, younger people, I mean, some of the comments were about childcare is such a big issue, for an example, with the young workers, and carbon footprint, the environment is a big piece of it. And they might still have to go in, once a month or once a week or whatever their particular work product calls for. But things like building an airplane, you can engineer it from home on a computer, but you can't rivet it from home. So the actual construction portion of it obviously has to take place, but it's really a consideration on future modes of travel, road projects, where people are going to live. Just a lot of good food for thought. I personally would like to see the presentation repeated here in front of the board. Now, I know you can use YouTube and all those modern conveniences to review that if you'd like, but I'd like to have some future discussion about it at some point down the road, whenever it's possible.
I would argue that what you're saying is important, and it's a big reason why I am not in favor of replacing the, building a new courthouse back in front of the, in front of the voters, and I'm looking at a much less expensive, medium-term solution, so we can see where this all shakes out before we invest $300 million. But it's gonna matter in a whole bunch of different ways. Anything else, Commissioner?
Okay. No, I think I'm going to stick to that. We've had a good long day today, real interesting all day. So this is the process of watching sausage being made, we talk about once.
For sure.
Okay, I just keep it short. I did have a chance to do a couple of community presentations that were really interesting since our last board meeting. One to the Justice Not Jails group, where I was on a panel with other somebody from the city of Olympia, somebody from, gosh, I can't remember who all was on the panel, but I was presenting on the Resource Hub project that we're working on and the new Criminal Justice Program Manager position that we've created. I also presented with the city of Olympia and Lacey and TRPC to the Panorama community regarding climate action and the work of the Climate Steering Committee, and answered a lot of questions there. And presented relevant information to the Rochester and Grand Mountain Chamber, as I try to do every month. We had an in-person meeting this month, and there was a number of things to talk to them about. They had a lot of questions about the atrium and COVID vaccination stuff. So with that, anything else for the good of the order? We'll be moving into a public hearing here shortly. Okay, well, then we are adjourned for the 2 p.m. board meeting. We will be starting the public hearing just here. Should we take 5? Let's start at 3:50, and we will be on a different Zoom, correct, for the public. And the topic will be a proposed development agreement.